There
I
we are. There we are.
I have to tell you that I'm in the middle of washing my hair. I'm so sorry. Anyway, here I am with wet hair, just kind of. So, but I didn't want to miss this, and so I just jumped in when I realized I hadn't sent you the thing. And
No problem. No problem.
so,
How's things?
how are you? And what is this going on? This image that's behind me, and this.
So everybody in this NFT space, as I predicted, has gone back to coins. They started with coins and they were always trying to get back there and they found their way back. Um,
What does that mean? Coins like,
so coins, like, so anybody can make a coin on Ethereum in like 2 seconds. You can basically make a coin. Uh,
right.
and so people have made up a bunch of coins in the last week, 5 days, and a lot of money has flowed out of NFTs to these coins.
I remember this story. There was some years ago. Uh,
Same
Everybody
stuff.
was making there's a short.
Shit coins, altcoins, meme coins.
Yes, and then they usually end up in nothing.
They do. They do. That they do. And so it's definitely very interesting to see that. Um, yeah.
But is it like playing at a casino?
It's at playing at a very rigged casino where there's no rules and you are basically just because here's what happens is people make these coins and then they make a big supply and then they give out some of the supply. But anytime the person who made the coin could just dump a massive amount of supply on because they have a huge amount. So you're kind of at the whim of these people who made the coins. And so people, it's like roulette of when is that person going to like pull the fucking plug on the little game you're playing. You can play a little speculation game, but that as soon as this person decides to pull the plug, the game's over. And whoever's left holding the bag at that time, that's it. It's hot potato.
Do you invest in these things?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And people have been accusing me because I've been making artwork talking about these coins, merely just talking about the coins, that I'm like pumping these coins and blah, blah, blah. And like, and then sometimes, so earlier in the week, I said something and then somebody made a coin from that thing that I said. Like I just made up a word and then somebody made a coin from that. Except
Oh,
that coin, because again, you can make these coins with whatever rule. That coin you could only buy, you couldn't sell.
well, what's the point of that?
So it basically just stole a bunch of money from idiots. And it's one of these things
Hmm.
where it's like, and then I got to get blamed for that. But it's like, guys, that didn't exist when I said that. It was made after. And even then, like, I didn't say buy this. And so I put out this actually I should look that up. I put out another image, that floor burger image, where I'm like,
Is
guys,
it this one?
that was the day before that. I put
Oh,
just a picture of a burger on the floor where I'm like, guys, this is just a hamburger on the floor. It has nothing to do with anything. Don't start buying hamburgers off the floor. And then I put don't buy floor burger, that coin thing. So then of course people made that coin. And at one point, the value of that coin was like $20 million.
what?
It's
The
just
one that you couldn't sell?
no,
Oh.
a different one. They made another coin named Floor Burger. Let me see
I
what it is.
remember some years ago there were these kind of fake companies. They made a coin, but they also made a company with it, and they had like fake people working at them.
This is
And
the
then
same thing.
it's the same thing.
It's the same thing. Well, it's more. You're talking about in like 2017. There were all these
Yes,
ICOs,
yes,
initial coin offerings. This
yes.
is pretty similar to that.
But what does the US government think about all this?
So the US government, that guy behind you, part of the reason I put him in there is because he was just grilled on Capitol Hill on Tuesday or Wednesday, to be like, is ETH a security? Like, because
Right.
they're trying to like crack down on things. Is it a security? And he just would not answer. Wouldn't answer. And so it's like, these guys are shady as shit. That guy behind you, who's now the head of the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, overseeing all this shit, used to promote one of these crypto coins, one of these altcoins.
Oh,
Like, the whole thing is so fucking shady. It's so sketchy. I don't know.
wow.
It's like, it's very interesting. And so that image that I put there, that could potentially be seen as promoting these unregulated securities. In my eyes, I don't believe it is, because I'm literally at the top of the image said, you will guaranteed lose money on this.
No, of
Like,
course. Yeah, of course.
but
That's
again,
what it
it's sort of
says.
like, I don't know. There's no like clarity on the actual sort of like rules here. And again, I don't own any of these coins. Actually, people were accusing me a lot of stuff over the last, and not many people, but enough where it fucking annoyed me, of pumping this other project, which again, I was just making artwork about. It was like, I don't give any fuck with these stupid projects. They're all going to zero, guys. You're fucking idiots.
This
And it
has
made me
to-
realize I've never sold an NFT that I did not create. Like, I've never sold a single NFT that was not my work.
I would like to understand what this has to do with art.
So to me, I think it has to do with art, and that these distinctions between financial products and art is a bit blurry, because I could certainly make a coin that would be unregulated and then make artwork about it that could be seen as promoting that coin. And so that to me feels like there's a little bit of a gray area, which I think is kind of interesting.
I don't understand it.
I think it's interesting because it's this
Could you
whole
explain
thing.
better?
What's up?
Can you explain better? I really don't understand.
I think to me what's interesting about the entire space, just higher level,
Mhm.
is that it's this weird mix of like art, memes, and like money.
Mm.
Um, and
AMN.
and how those things sort of like all sort of like relate to each other, to me, is very interesting.
So how do they relate? So art, memes, and money.
So the art is being used as a vehicle to spread a meme, which is then being used as a vehicle to spread the idea that that meme should be bought as an unregulated security.
But what is the meme? The NFT?
So no, the meme is different things. So here, can I share my screen?
Sure.
So the memes are a few different things. Like, one of them is this. Do you know that Pepe? You know what Pepe is?
Yeah. Yes.
This.
No, yes. Yes. Yes.
So this frog, this is one of the coins that has like done really well. Most of the memes are based on like images. So
But
this is one
why
of them,
do you call it a coin?
because it is a coin.
Oh. You mean there's a coin called,
Pepe.
and when was it created?
Anybody can create any coin called Pepe. So there are actually thousands of coins created called Pepe.
Oh,
So
I didn't know what I was talking about.
Here's Pepe wife. Here's Pepe. Like, this is, I think this is the biggest one. Yeah, this is the biggest one. So this has an $82 million market cap, 24-hour volume of $51 million. This is the biggest
But
one. This was
but why is it an image of a frog?
because they're trying to piggyback on this meme that it's sort of like they could name it the coin anything, but they're trying to piggyback on this meme to be like, well, this is the Pepe coin, just like the Doge coin. It's just trying to capitalize on an idea that's circulated around the internet.
But who created the meme originally?
This guy called Matt Fury, like a very long time ago. He did not create this coin. Anybody can just create a coin called Pepe. So,
Oh God, I'm so lost. But there's a picture of a frog that you showed me.
yes.
So why does a coin attach itself to a frog? Is it like putting George Washington on the dollar bill?
It's trying to put something that is an already existing meme and capitalizing on that versus trying to come up with some random new thing and being like, hey guys, let's all get behind this brand new thing. Instead, it's like, hey guys, we all know Pepe, let's make a Pepe coin.
Okay, so the difference between an NFT and this Pepe coin is that those are fungible tokens.
Yes, 100%. Yes, exactly. These are fungible tokens. They're purely it's just the price of the coin. It's just like a stock. That's it. It goes up, it goes down. That's it. There's
So
nothing.
why is it connected to what you call art?
I think it's connected to art in a very broad sense. Because that is a vehicle for spreading these memes.
You mean you can buy an NFT of an artwork with this coin?
No. So it's more like it's related to art in that, like, that's mostly how people spread these memes. So if you look at, like, okay, I posted this thing.
Why
So
did you put marijuana? Sorry, why did you put marijuana today?
Yesterday was 420. It's like a weed holiday kind of thing.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So see all these images?
Yeah,
all these different images of Pepe.
yeah.
So that's sort of how people spread, and most of these people are like being like, buy Pepe. And so this idea spreads through an like endless amount of artwork.
Because it's stuck in images.
Well, what do you mean it's stuck in images?
Well, when you put it on the face of somebody in an image, you collage it in.
Yeah.
You make memes.
Yes. And so to me, this whole thing is it's like a weird intersection of gambling and art and.
But when you say art, do you mean like graphic design?
I mean, lowercase art.
Yeah, like graphic design.
Again, I mean, I don't know.
I don't either.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's kind of graphic design, but some of those are not really graphic design. Some of them are, I mean, I guess they're drawings, they're art. Yeah.
I just don't understand the AMM. It's like getting out of control in a really interesting mess.
Wait, AMM.
Art, memes, and money.
Oh, yeah, I think.
I mean, there was always money in art, but it never was as like when a year ago I was saying I think it's the material of the artwork, and you didn't really agree with that, but it seems they're getting very close.
No, actually, I think I finally understood what you were saying since the beginning when you said a lot of this was about numbers.
Oh, yes.
And I think you are definitely right.
Mm.
Um, a lot of it is about different, yes, sort of numbers in a lot of different ways, I guess. Um,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah. It's like a society with all
it's
these
about data.
numbers.
Yeah, maybe data is a better, not just numbers, but like data.
Yeah. Data.
And this is about data too. Like it's very much understanding these like memes and understanding that. And there's all kinds of data and there's all kinds of ways people are faking data. But yes, it does have a lot to do with like data. I don't know. I think this is, it feels like weirdly like bleeding edge in a way almost.
Mm.
Because the rules around how art can be used to promote these things is not clear. Um, yeah. And like what could I do that would be considered promoting it, and what could I do that would be considered an artistic statement? And so that line is a little fuzzy.
I think, as you know, I don't really understand anything about your world. I mean, I'm fascinated by it, but I don't think I ever will completely at all, because I either really get into it or I will not ever understand it. But I understand other things. And what I see in the so-called traditional art world is an incapacity to accept ambiguity. There were two very important characteristics about art throughout history. It is the ambiguity and ambivalence of its meaning. So if something has a precise meaning, it's not art. It's like advertising or something else.
Propaganda.
Yeah, propaganda, advertising. I was even disturbed at the beginning when we would talk, because you would say, what's the message? You use this word message, as if uh, what gave quality to an artwork was that it had a message. It wasn't just well crafted. It was well crafted and had a message. It's something you were always saying. Um, for us, when an artwork has a clear message, it's bad art. It's not good art. And good art was always something where different people could read into it almost opposite things. And there was a lot of irony in art, like, you say one thing and you kind of mean another, but it's a very open, floating signifier. And the more open an artwork was, the better it was. I mean, what does that Jackson Pollock mean? I mean, could mean many, many things. And the audience was kind of like in a good poem, was riveted by trying to understand what the artist meant, or what it could mean, or who cares what the artist meant. It means so much more, and all of that. And what I see in my world is that people who are spending a lot of time in the digital life, in their daily life, they're unable to understand and accept ambivalence and ambiguity. They want to know, is that painting this, that, or the other? And they're connecting it with politics immediately, or social issues. Like,
But
is
don't you
that,
think most of the shit, I would say half of the shit that I saw at Documenta was just pure propaganda. I mean, think
no,
about
no,
that
I
shit that got
completely,
taken down. You don't think that was propaganda?
the painting that got taken down. No, no, no. I think it was, I think that most people are unable to see the ambivalence and openness and ambiguity of artworks, and they look at a painting and want to know if the author of the painting is a racist or not, is an anti-Semite or not, is a in favor of firearms or not. Is so you take a painting like a Dali, a Salvador Dali, surrealist painting, and they want to know what he meant by that. You know, that destroyed figure of Spain painted in 1943 as a personified woman kind of falling apart in this abandoned landscape. Does that mean that he was against Franco or in favor of Franco? I could say, but everybody was pro-Franco in Franco's time because they wanted to get a job or they wanted whatever. I mean, and a surrealist on top of that, I can imagine clearly that he would say something. Apparently, Salvador Dali said a sentence like, I dreamed of having sex with Adolf Hitler or something. And he's being judged now by
Oh, he
several.
said that a long time ago. Now everybody's trying to cancel him.
Yeah. Yeah. But what I mean is, I mean, it's a surrealist. It's like saying that, you know, Pasolini, the filmmaker, Pasolini, who did the film Salò, was a fascist while he was making a film that was talking about, you know, radical freedom against the authoritarianism. And that's why he was repeating certain scenes. Actually, there's a very famous scene of eating shit in that film. And instead of understanding that he was doing it like as a provocation to denounce something of his time that he found very oppressive in the homogenized correctness of what the bourgeoisie was supposed to think. First of all, he got censored at the time, but now, while before nobody would say Pasolini, you know, is a fascist. If you can't read the irony in his film, you might think that, because that's sort of, you know, there's people with uniforms on and they're whipping people and stuff. And so, do you know Pasolini's Salon, the movie? Oh, well, I suggest highly you watch it before it gets censored again. But I don't know what this means, because art, the value of art, the quality of art is that you don't know what it's trying to say, not you know what it's trying to say. So, and
But
not
you think people were more accepting of that in the past?
of course, they were not only accepting, they were wanting. I mean, as I just said, if a message is clear, it used to be called illustration. People that are in the art world who are like critical of your work, for example, I mean, it happens sometimes. People say to me, but why are you interested? And so on.
I would guess it happens a lot.
Well, it happens sometimes, but they're critical because they sometimes say, but don't you think it's like illustration? You know, like you have this idea, maybe you're against this guy that is in the back of me, and you make an illustration, like as if you were illustrating your criticism. And
But people, I feel like, do that all the time. They illustrate racism is bad.
exactly,
It's like half of the fucking
exactly.
work coming out now is just like
Yeah, illustrative.
racism is bad.
Well, it is bad, but
Sure,
the
I
way
don't
that you the
disagree,
way
but
that
again, if that's the entire like fucking message of your piece, then it's kind of like, well, that's just as obvious.
yes, I agree. So you asked me, were people more open to ambivalence and ambiguity? I'm not saying that they were more open to it. It's more than that. That was considered a quality in art, as opposed to the illustrator. And if something is really weird in our society, and I'm trying to understand from you what it is that creates this, let's say, superficial reading of things.
I think it's because there's so much media that it's coming at people. They don't have time to be like, what does this mean? I'm going to think about it. It's like, well, the next thing's coming out in 2 seconds. So just tell me what the fuck it means. I think that's what it is. It's like people have no patience. They're not used to like waiting and thinking about it. There's a million other things to think about. It's like, just, I've got 2 seconds to think about this. Just tell me the fucking message. I don't have time to think about it. I think that's what it is.
But then why are you upset that you're suffering the same fate?
It's more, what do you mean, suffering the same fate?
Well, if you're saying that your work is being very quickly accused of something, like, for example, supporting a bad coin. I
I'm
mean,
not saying that's good. I'm just saying that's how it is.
yeah.
I'm not saying that's how I want it to be. It's just like how it is. And I think sometimes my work is, I recognize that. And I'm purposely trying to make something that you can get something out of in 2 seconds, because I understand that. And
yeah.
People can sort of hem and haw, well, that's how it is, and it should be like this. Well, sorry, that's how it is. I would rather have somebody get some thought or something from it than just like absolutely nothing. And I know they're only going to look at it for 2 seconds. So I know I need to make that point super fucking quick. If there is some sort of direct kind of like message that I'm trying to like get across from it. Yeah. And I think that, I don't know. I think that to me, I totally see and understand what you're saying. And like, I agree with that. I think works that are ambiguous, I don't know, to me are just more interesting. And like, obviously sort of, I don't know, it's tough because I think there are exceptions made sometimes. Like I think about that Guernica piece. That obviously had a very strong message. You could say that was illustration.
Well, it certainly had a very strong message, but
it had a pretty clear message.
No, it's true. But nobody would say that Guernica is illustrative.
So why would you not say that's illustration when it had a very clear message it was trying to deliver?
Well, that's a good question. No, why would I say it's not open and ambiguous?
And why would you say it's not illustration?
Well, because first of all, because it's not very clear figuration. I mean,
okay.
It's got all
that's that. Not okay. That doesn't.
Well, well, first
if you draw the, if I just drew things slightly sloppier, then it would suddenly it's not illustration.
Well, illustration is traditionally more associated with figuration, of course, because you're trying to get something to be read really quickly. I think the Guernica piece has ambivalences and ambiguities to it in the sense that it clearly reminds you of Paolo Cello, for example, of the battles of Paolo Cello painted in the Renaissance. So that's one thing. So you start thinking, but why is he painting it also like that? And then there's other things like that lamp, the big lamp. What does that mean? It's not clear what it means. And then it's black and white. That's not clear. Why was it done in black and white? That's the color of like photography. Is it because it's like a photo reportage?
Lamp.
What?
There's a lamp in it?
Yeah, big lamp. It's like a question mark. What is that lamp?
And nobody knows.
No, and then there's several things in it that are weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't know either. I'm trying.
But you're saying just like those things seem like they just come down to like aesthetic choices. You know what I mean?
But aesthetic choices can also be open and ambivalent and ambiguous.
They can, but I think it's more so. I guess it's more so the picture to me was made with a point to get a specific point across. Yes.
Yes.
And to me, that alone, regardless of what the picture looks like, falls a little more, and me too, my work too, it feels a little more illustration-y when I'm trying to get a specific message across.
It's what we call now activist art. I mean, he wanted to raise money for the Republicans. When he
I
was
feel like
showing
that's like most art now is all fucking trying to convince you of some shit.
Yes, like Nikita Kadan, you know, I just premiered Artists in a Time of War, and there's this fantastic new installation by Nikita Kadan in it that you can't even see on the internet. One of the interesting things is you can't see it if you Google it, because there's this dark black space and it looks like a flat monochrome. But then when you get close, your eye gets used to it and you see this hand in bronze, which is his hand coming out of earth. And you realize that what he was making is this experience of what it is to be in a bomb shelter because you think you might be buried alive. So it's not really illustrating, but it's giving you the feeling of what it is to be buried alive, and with his hand. But the hand happened to be an image of Bucha, of those massacres in Bucha that was viral on the internet, that you've seen as well in all the news. There was always this hand coming out of the earth. So that is, of course, an activist piece. But to go back, I'd like to go back to your world. Do you think the whole economy of the United States could like explode over this thing of digital money? And
No.
no.
I think it's gonna fucking tank NFTs though. I think it's gonna tank the NFT market. And there's just been I feel like there's been a number of other things that are too complicated and wonky to get into that I think have been propping it up.
Like what? I'm interested. I can cut it out.
Well, it's more so that it's just like super complicated. Like there's this like Blur, there's another marketplace that kind of like came about that's been competing against the other marketplace, and they basically incentivized people to just make bids, and that you would get some points that then later could be converted to their coin. And then if you put in bids, not if you just put a bid on a thing. And so people would do this whole like bid farming thing, and like it's just like it's like a bunch of like crazy like jumping through hoops and crazy sort of things to make it seem like there is more demand in the space than there is
for NFTs.
Yes, that people were doing not to just to make money. They're not trying to do it to make it look like there's more activity. They're doing it to make money, but it makes it look like there's more activity.
You mean like futures, that like when they were started to sell futures that weren't even there?
I know, it's very like, it's super fucking complicated and like has nothing to do with art. But yeah, I think those things will affect NFTs, but more on the like super like speculative side. The NFTs where it was like, okay, come on, guy, you knew this was going to fucking zero.
So what happens? Okay,
that might separate out the art things. What's up?
So let's imagine that the NFT art market, let's say, has this decline because of this. So all the people who are interested only in money go away, and then you're back with these people like you making work online for communities of people. And I mean, your work is very, very different. You know, I had a conversation with Ash Thorpe, a long one online. You're very, very different. I find him very, very classical. I mean,
yeah,
he's
like went to art school.
Yeah, he's like a very classical artist, old-fashioned style, in the sense of he makes like sculpture. He makes neoclassical
What do you mean
images.
sculpture?
Well, it reminds me of neoclassicism, which it means hard edges and very clean shapes and a very neoclassical aesthetic. But even when it's flat, like in film, it will come from a kind of idea of classical Greek statuary. So even when he makes his sci-fi figures and so on, his taste is for is a neoclassical taste, but his way of making art is more traditional than yours. Not in the sense of the traditional art world, in the sense of more academic. I mean, it's more like academia. I don't know how to say. It's less avant-garde in the sense of yours. You're working in more like the Andy Warhol thing. You're working in. I mean, for you, the art system is part of the work. I think so. I mean, that's otherwise you would never have even opened up that space in Charleston. I mean, there's a whole observation, like of curators like me or whatever. And look, who the galleries are. I mean, you have a way of being extremely, extremely aware and really, really good at shaping and navigating, creating alliances and I mean, it's as if that's part of the work in the way that performance alliances, I mean, like friends and connections, and it's
You're
like
saying the selling of the work?
no, well, also, but more it's about attention. A selling for me is we have already been through this. It's a question of attention. I think we live in an attention economy. So those numbers or that data, it's about attention and grabbing attention, and that's the oil of our time. It's the energy of our time. So you seem to be an artist, let's say, closer to what I'm interested in, which is no. I mean, I'm really fascinated by him. By the way, I'm really fascinated, but I see him as part of a neoclassical aesthetic, and you're more into a situationist. Do you know the situationists? Yeah, I told you about that. Well, Guy Debord and all those people. Situationist, avant-garde, like Dadaists. The Dadaists would do things. The early
situationist.
Well, Guy Debord, they come out of radical poetry in France, and then they were looking at the so-called Society of Spectacle, which was
and then they would make situations
yeah. Yes, but more than that, they made films. I mean, one of the most beautiful films is the Society of Spectacle that Guy Debord made. It's like ancestors of collages in a way, but in film. So they're juxtaposed images and cut and paste but it was, I have to say they were anti-capitalists. Really, they were, the French. The French are always anti-capitalist. So they're like that. They're French, So they were very French about it, and they were very much against the stupidity of people becoming stupid, with mass media images and stupid movies. And so they were kind of intervening in that in many ways. They did artworks that were like psychogeographic derives, they were called, through the city, and then they made films, and then they made events and situations. And so when I think about you making the masks and going to Times Square, it's in a line of work where the artistic gesture enters into the real world, and the real world enters into the artistic gesture, and it's a constant, and it's also about speed of movement, so that you're always like one step ahead of what somebody expects of you, and you're kind of dodging balls and things. This is a line, let's say, of art history that is not neoclassical.
I see. So you're saying his. I think I know what you mean. I think his work is more about, it seems more about the aesthetic
Yes,
of the
beauty,
work.
beauty.
That, like, that is most of the work, is like the aesthetics of it.
Not only, I mean,
Not only, but I think
yeah.
that's a bigger piece of it.
Well,
Uh,
he's more like he represents. So the aesthetics, beauty, a neoclassical idea of beauty, and then the representation of this world to come, the representation of this sci-fi world, or the, he's read the novel, the book of Yuval Harari. He's read Homo Deus, which greatly influenced him. And it's like picturing a kind of solitude of the future in this very, very high art way.
mm.
So, and he would like to, so it's less situationist, but there's no but. I don't know why I got to that. I was just somehow trying to understand from you. I mean, what I really would like to learn about all this, but I can't because it goes so fast, like what you just told me.
It's going fast. It's going fast. Then you throw in all the like AI stuff. That's going real fast. That stuff is going real fast.
So what does that do to you? I mean, how does that make you make art in
You
the
know,
future?
it actually, I could see some sort of scenario in the future where NFTs are used to show some type of, like, used more broadly and not in the same sort of like speculative way they are to prove sort of like where a picture came from, because now pictures could just be made of anything and it's just total bullshit, and it's sort of like, and increasingly pictures will just be like, type of picture of Joe Biden getting arrested, blah blah blah, and it's like, and like having people requiring some
Proof.
proof or some other, like, okay, a JPEG, that means nothing. It could be of anything. It doesn't, like, when I see a photo of a JPEG, unless I know that this was verified by some source or verified by some XYZ, it's like, I'm not even, or like, or potentially I could
That's
see
interesting.
some future where, and it's just like built into the browser. Again, it's not like people are speculating on it or this or that, but this blockchain technology is used to prove where pictures came from and prove that those pictures are actually just straight pictures. That it's just like, no, this picture has been proven to be an actual unedited photo. Uh,
Ah, you
Something
mean
like that. Again, this is like, in the future or whatever, but I don't know. It occurred to me that this NFT technology, which I think is in many times is a technology in search of a problem, um,
mhm.
could be this could be like a massive use case for it, because now we've got a new problem that just emerged, and that anybody can just create a picture of anything immediately, and now those pictures are starting to look very real.
You mean photography from the real, or you mean also to guarantee that something is yours, for example, that a Beeple is a Beeple?
I think both, but I'm mostly thinking about photography, that it's sort of like, okay, that you could, which I don't know. Again, I don't know how this system works, but just use, I just think there's going to be a massive problem of what is real and what is fake in the future. And that this blockchain technology could possibly be used in some way to help with that. But again, it's so, how exactly, I don't know. I don't know, because it's such a, like, we can't even agree, even when we know all of the facts, we can't even agree on what is the fucking like truth anymore. So it's sort of like,
Exactly. That's what I was saying about the Dali painting.
I don't know, yeah, where that sort of like takes us. Wait, so I've got to go on a little bit here, but what's
Yes.
going on with like your how is the last few months of museum directing?
Well, I'll tell you about that the next call. I'm
Okay.
no. I mean, it's a transition. It certainly is. It's a transition. So I have a lot to do, to close things, finish things, building things, things.
Wait, do they know the person who's going to be the next director?
No, not yet. We're in the middle of the search now.
Okay. Does it seem like there's some good people?
Of course. Yeah. No, Castello will be fine, absolutely fine. That's why I also would really like to, if it's possible, to end my mandate. I'm putting out the book, the catalog of the collection. And so it will have all the works because the last edition was 2008. So it has all the works that I've acquired through various gifts or ways.
Oh, I see. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So I mean, it's for me, it's an important thing. So, and I would very much like to, and, be able to put something of yours in the collection before I leave. I mean, Ryan seemed to want to do that. And then I don't know if you've spoken with him about
I've
that.
not spoken with him recently, but yeah, I think we could definitely do that. You're saying that Sam Big.
Well, I was thinking the Sam Bankman-Fried because it's a moment where I really got it. I understood, and it speaks to this chaos of this also world that you represent. It's kind of like
Yeah.
the Campbell soup of it. So I thought that was good. And then if that's too complicated for you or for
No, that's fine. I think it'd be sweet. Yeah, I think we should do that. I think it
okay,
would
let's
be.
do that. Yeah,
I think
let's
it would be
do that.
great.
So what do I have to do to make that happen? I mean, Ryan was originally planning on somehow acquiring it for the Castello and asking you to be very generous with him since it's a gift.
Well,
So
why
it's
don't
very,
I just gift it?
oh,
I mean,
well,
do we need Ryan in this?
he would like that. We don't
Yeah,
need
but
him.
it's like I kind of feel bad charging him for something that he's gonna gift, and it's sort of like,
For the museum, I think he would like to have his name somehow there. So maybe you could charge
sure.
him very little.
What's up?
Maybe you could charge him very little.
Yeah.
Just to have his name in it. I mean, I think he would like to, he would like to have his name associated to the museum.
Sure.
He did agree to lend the human one. So I mean, I feel almost as if it would be ungenerous to not let him be part of this.
Sure. Yeah, that's fine.
But what do I have to do? I mean, what do we do? Like
do you have a wallet?
well, I'm going to open that for the museum. Not yet, but I passed it in the board meeting that we're going to open it. So I'm going to open it, and then
Okay.
make an exchange of letters, and then you could send the print. What is it that you send? We then mount it on a board, or how do you? I mean, what's the physical side of it?
There is no physical side of it. So what do you want?
No, no. I think we should make a physical side so we can hang it.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. What do you want? Do you think a painting?
Yeah, like a painting.
A painting or a print? A painting?
Well, what is the difference? Isn't the painting?
What do you mean? What's the difference? One's a painting and one's a print.
No, because the painting is printed with paint. You didn't actually.
I would say this would probably be better as a painting, to be
I
honest.
agree. Yeah.
Just because it's more. It's not.
Medium.
Yeah, I think it's more narrative. It's got people in it. Like I think it would look better as like a fucking weirdo painting.
But it's painted as a print. I mean, it's printed paint.
What do you mean?
You don't actually have somebody paint it with a paint.
100%. We have somebody painting these.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So it's
Yeah,
not.
all those paintings, somebody's painting them. Yeah, did you look closely at them? They're very much painted.
Do you realize that I didn't look closely?
Well, there was a lot to take in. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. You didn't get.
Wow.
Actually, did we even talk since the event? You didn't get trampled by anybody, did you?
Sort of. But no, it was fantastic. But okay, well, I think yeah, maybe it should be if it's possible to paint it.
Yeah. We'll get somebody. So when does that need to be in there by?
Well, quickly because I need to go to print with the catalog by early September.
Okay, yeah, we can get it by then for sure. So I will make a note to get that made as a painting.
That's fantastic.
And then, yeah, we'll sort out whatever with Ryan.
Okay,
Awesome.
thank you so much.
We'll talk soon. Hope your hair dries.
Hair, I mean,
I hope it dries.
Okay, bye.
Bye.